Associated Press. Much of it we have told you already. We had confirmed it with Dyer County Emergency Management earlier, but according to the Associated Press, one person died in Dyer County tonight as heavy thunderstorms swept through, and warnings were issued for several counties. The fatality was a resident at Barker's Trailer Park. No details immediately available, but Tennessee Emergency Management Agency spokesman Kurt Pickering said the death was in fact related to the storms. There was also at least one business in Dyer County damaged. Fire department personnel are reporting to reports of leaks to gas lines. There were also scattered power outages in Dyer County. In nearby Obion County, 4 mobile homes were destroyed and 2 other homes were damaged, but no injuries were reported in Obion County. Also, there have been reports coming in of property damage in Weakley County. We're not sure yet if any of this damage was caused by thunderstorms or tornadoes. However, we are reasonably certain that the damage in Dyersburg, at least a good bit of it, was caused by a tornado. But that can't be confirmed by us tonight. The National Weather Service office in Memphis, the forecast office in Memphis, will send a survey team into these areas tomorrow, and they will confirm whether or not it was a tornado, and they will also confirm whether or not the strength of the tornado, whether it was F1, F2, F3. That cannot be determined by looking at the storm as it goes through. That's determined by a damage survey a little bit later on. Tim, I'm about to turn it back over to you, but you're seeing these heavy numbers here.
Right.
And a lot of that's because of hail. And just lately, just the last few minutes, we're getting a report from Benton County that some pea-size hail is being reported there by the sheriff.
Hey, and that's not surprising at all. Now, as we look at this right here through parts of Madison County, I wanted to show everybody, these are the rainfall rates. This is one thing that we do look at, and we show these different products, but this actually helps us to confirm whether or not we think that there might still be some rotation. There's some heavy rain here, heavy rain here. Oftentimes we find that tornadic signature right in the area where there's not quite as much of heavy rain, which would be right in here. If we were to compare that with, say, storm relative velocity, there's the bullseye, right in there.
Yeah, and we said earlier this evening, a lot of times people on a radar will point to the bright red or where the heaviest precipitation is falling, and that's what will be indicated as where the tornado is. But as you have just very correctly pointed out right here, usually that's not where the tornado is at all. It's right there where you're talking about, and that gate-to-gate shear is what we call it. I know we throw these technical terms at you sometimes, but that's what it looks like. You got the red, you got a fairly bright red and a bright green, you put them together, and that gives us a very strong indication of a tornado. And I must say that that signature we saw over Dyer County a couple of times earlier this evening, and it has been confirmed that we've had at least 2 confirmed sightings of tornadoes earlier this evening in Dyer County.
Now, as we go back to the live radar, as this will be just slightly to the east, slightly delayed. Here's the live image, and as a matter of fact, it is just to the east of that area. Look at these shear markers here, the areas of rotation that we are definitely seeing now over eastern Madison County. It continues to push off. In fact, we will back this out and put another track on that.
While you're there and doing the track, let me interrupt. I'm sorry, but we're getting reports now from Madison County. One of our friends in Madison County is getting a report that the sheriff's office, the Madison County Sheriff's Office in Jackson, has been hit. To what extent, we don't know what the damage is. Also, we're getting reports of golf ball size hail in that area. And there's a woman who lives on Stratford Lane in Jackson who tells us that she's in her bathroom. That's generally a good place to be, but hail is pounding her house and has broken out at least one window. I know the feeling. These large hailstones, which you're indicating right here, had the misfortune of going through one of those several years ago and lost 14 windows in my house. So that's what the folks in Jackson and Madison County, some of them, could be experiencing at the moment.
Yeah, in fact, here is the hail product, and the rainfall, heavy rainfall, right? Just Jackson getting absolutely pounded right now with rainfall rates between 3 to 5 inches in most locations still. Here's the area of concern. We look again for rotation, and we're still seeing it hold together at this particular time. Whether or not it's touching the ground, you can't necessarily tell from here, but we can definitely tell rotation near the surface, and that in itself is enough to take all the precautions as if it were touching the ground. In fact, that would be the only thing to assume so at this point, and I would not be surprised in the next few moments as it continues to push east. If it does, it looks like it may hold together for Henderson County at this point, Dave.
Indeed, and Henderson County tornado warning. Good call. It's until 12:30 in the morning. Local police officials report a tornado 10 miles west of Blue Goose, moving east at 55 miles per hour. All right,
we'll zoom in a little closer.
Here's confirmation that a tornado has been produced in the city of Jackson, Tennessee. So Jackson has just been hit again. The cell that we have just been talking about. Let's go to Viper mode just for a moment, if we could, on the radar. Look at the indications of all the circulation. Now, some of this Tim has been talking about earlier. It's surface-based. Some of it is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But when we see that sort of thing going on with the other things we've been telling you about, there is a very, very strong indication that there's a problem there, and we believe we just have confirmation from the National Weather Service that there has been a tornado in Jackson, Tennessee once again. That's the third time that they have been hit in about 3 years. Okay, Tim?
Okay, on the magnifying glass, right there where you see that, that's going to be Blue Goose right there. Now, I'd like to go back to pinpoint Doppler radar.
All right, now let me again point out that the circles that you're seeing are 3 or 4 minutes old.
Yes.
And so they would have moved to about that position. That does things are moving to the northeast at a very high rate of speed, about 65 miles per hour. So it is now Henderson County, and it looks like it's going to be the northwest part of Henderson County that's going to be most affected as this system moves by. Tim is putting a storm track on it for you right now, and
I'm going to have to re-update these numbers, Dave, to make it 55 miles an hour because of the location of the screen. And those are the numbers that we're gonna see right there. Life at 11:52, Hinson Springs 11:55, Antioch at 11:56, Lexington at 11:58. So within the next 10 minutes, we're going to see this move very quickly through the heart of Henderson County.